Vaccines have been a part of our lives for as long as we can remember, but how do they really work and why is there so much controversy about them? Following the COVID-19 pandemic, vaccination debate made a huge resurgence. However, controversy about the topic has existed since vaccinations became popularly distributed in the early 20th century. The debate has made its way into modern media, with politicians and activists alike voicing their opinions on the topic. Notably, there was a drastic political divide between the two U.S. parties during the 2020 presidential election over the vaccine controversy. The two presidential candidates at the time used the COVID-19 vaccine as a talking point for each of their parties, and both advocated opposing stances on getting vaccinated. And thus, the political divide over vaccines in the 2020 election caused the controversy to become relevant again. However, the history of vaccinations and the controversy they incited started long before the 2020 election. In this documentary, we will explore how the evolution of vaccines and their implementation in society has affected both sides of the debate, and how misinformation has influenced the public's perception of vaccines. Now let's get into it.
While the first documented evidence of the practice of inoculation can be traced to the 1700s, there is a speculation that it began all the way in the 1100s after the variolation technique was first used. In the 1700s, the smallpox virus was demolishing the United States, leaving many victims to its horrendous side effects. The first recorded vaccine was created by Edward Jenner in order to cure smallpox. He injected a young boy with a strain of cowpox and later exposed him to smallpox, and after finding out he wasn't infected, this laid down the foundation for vaccines in the future and pushed the realization of how inoculation is a valid method of prevention. In the early 1800s, vaccine programs were all over the nation, and by the late 1800s, vaccine mandations were rising across the nation. The beginning of these mandates were mainly pointed at children, mandating that they get vaccines before school to ensure their health, which was largely followed across the country. Vaccines for various diseases were being worked on all over the nation. However, it wasn't until the 50s when the biggest stepping stone for vaccines happened, the polio vaccine. The polio vaccine was created by Donald Salk, and its use was widespread over the country, ultimately leading to the almost complete abolishment of the polio. By the late 70s, the effectiveness of vaccines was so prevalent that the number of vaccinated children went up by 90% in just 2 years. While the verification of vaccines were clear, there was still a lot of hesitancy within the nation regarding the mandates. A 1905 Supreme Court case between Johnson and Massachusetts upheld the state's power to enforce vaccination laws. This court case and other controversies led to the spread of hesitance within the population, making the popular study by Andrew Wakefield stick even more. In 1998, Wakefield's study linked the MMR vaccine to autism. Although it was later debunked, it only pushed forward the anti-vaccination movement. However, the United States continued to move forward with their progress, and by 1999, all but 4 U.S. states had mandates for vaccines for students entering schools within the ages of pre-K and 12th grade. The anti-vaccination movement truly began to gain traction in the 21st century, mostly because of misinformation, despite the fact that many reputable sources have verified that they do work. The controversy of vaccines stays prevalent in our society and is only growing more as the spread of social media and the rise of misinformation.
Many controversies come to light through the demonstration of specific vaccines such as the flu shot and the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination. It is a known fact that these vaccinations are an important aspect of public health security, but many disputes still remain about their usefulness and safety level. First, let's take a look at the flu vaccine. Scientists create this shot by taking strains of the flu virus from the year before and injecting them into the bloodstream so that the body can create antibodies against them. Since the shot is simply a prediction, the flu vaccine doesn't always turn out to be very effective. On average, it decreases the chance of catching the flu by 40 to 60%, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Although that may not seem to be a significant amount, the Mayo Clinic, a nonprofit medical organization, suggests that partial immunity can still be life-saving for at-risk demographics like the elderly as well as the immunocompromised. Next is the MMR vaccine. This shot is infamous for concerns over its long-term effects, specifically debates over whether it may be a cause of autism. This belief stems from a research published in 1998 by the British research paper The Lancet, which has now been discredited. In fact, the MMR vaccine is proven to be almost 90% effective according to the Oxford Vaccine Group. Both the flu vaccine and the MMR vaccine highlight the challenges of public health communication. While the flu vaccine's moderate effectiveness and frequent administration requirements may lead to doubts, the MMR vaccine faces opposition rooted more in misinformation than in scientific evidence. These discussions remind us of the importance of basing our health decisions on reliable data and consulting trusted medical professionals.
One of the more recent vaccine controversies has been the COVID-19 vaccine, one of the fastest scientific achievements in history, offering a lifeline during a global crisis. Yet, it's also become a focal point for controversy. The COVID-19 vaccine has become deeply polarized, especially in the United States. According to a 2021 Pew Research Center study, 60% of Republicans believed vaccine mandates were an overreach of government power, compared to only 17% of Democrats. Protests erupted nationwide, with critics claiming that mandates infringed on personal freedoms. Meanwhile, public health officials argued that mandates were necessary to curb the spread of the virus and protect vulnerable populations. At a global level, vaccine distribution became a source of its own political controversy. According to the World Health Organization, high-income countries have secured nearly 70% of the available vaccine doses by mid-2021, leaving lower-income countries to struggle with vaccinating even small portions of their populations. The controversy of rapid development of the vaccine is another issue. Most people are suspicious about how the COVID-19 vaccines were developed so fast. Usually it takes an average of 10 to 15 years to develop vaccines. However, for the COVID-19 vaccines, it took less than a year to have them approved for emergency use. It's at an unprecedented speed that's a question the safety of. However, this was all enabled by years of prior research into mRNA technology studied since the early 1990s. A 2020 Nature article stressed that foundational research, together with substantial funding and international cooperation, had allowed scientists to accelerate the process without cutting corners on safety. According to a 2021 study published in The Lancet Digital Health, false vaccine claims were shared 6 more times than facts about vaccinations on social media, further eroding public trust. In the end, the controversy surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine underlines some important issues in society: the fragility of trust in public institutions, the power of misinformation, and the need for equitable healthcare solutions.
Following their discovery, vaccines immediately forced many patients, parents, and healthcare providers to create their own opinions on the effectiveness and safety of vaccinations. Fears about disease, as well as the mystery of long-term effects of vaccinations, can contribute to why many choose not to get vaccinated. However, as many parents there are that are fearful of vaccinating their children, there are an equal number of parents who support vaccinations. The pro-vaccine side of the debate is much more simple than its counterpart. People choose to get vaccinated because it keeps them safe. Vaccines have been proven to teach your immune system how to create antibodies that fight disease. While it is true that most vaccines carry a deactivated or dead form of the virus they are meant to treat, there are hundreds of tests applied to vaccines before they are approved. It often takes years for vaccines to get FDA approval, and even afterwards they are put on a trial basis to test their safety. Furthermore, the FDA holds the authority to recall any vaccinations they previously approved, all to ensure that vaccines are safe. People also choose to get vaccinated because of herd immunity, a concept that asserts that if enough people are vaccinated in a community, it is harder for a disease to spread to those who are not vaccinated. Simply, those who choose to get vaccinated do so because they believe it keeps them safe. On the other side of the debate, there are many reasons why a person may choose not to vaccinate themselves or their child. Many of these reasons are influenced by vaccination hysteria or fear of unknown side effects. Many also attribute lack of information from healthcare providers or quick approvals through the FDA as reasons why they reject vaccinations. Others argue against vaccines due to religious objection, as they believe it is morally unethical to support vaccines as they are often developed in fetal tissue. However, one of the most notable misconceptions about vaccinations was that they could somehow cause autism or other neuroatypical diseases. While all of these theories were quickly debunked after being published, enough of the public had heard that the MMR vaccine caused neurodevelopmental delay that paranoia about the vaccine set in. Even after years and thousands of studies being published to debunk these theories, over 28% of U.S. citizens still reject the MMR vaccine, which has even led to a resurgence of the measles outbreak. Truly, the example of the MMR vaccine being linked to an autism is a testament to the power misinformation can have on people.
Today, the leading reason why people choose not to get vaccinated is because of misinformation about vaccines that is perpetrated by main source media. Vaccines are not perfect, but they remain one of the most effective tools we have to prevent disease and protect public health. By understanding their strengths and addressing misconceptions, we can make informed choices that benefit not just ourselves but also our community.